Good afternoon. You've made it to the advanced demo for ProxyClick. This is a third video in the series for ProxyClick for advanced features. This is probably the most interesting and most powerful part of the application. We're going to call this the pre-registration capabilities of ProxyClick. This is a good way to pre-register 2 or more people in a group or a larger group that are coming to the facility. And it has some really cool features that I'm going to demo, such as a customized welcome packet. In addition to the calendar appointment that goes out to people per normal, they're going to get an email with a nice packet that I'll show you in the demo. Actually, the way that it works is pretty slick too, because you don't even have to be in the application or know anything about ProxyClick whatsoever or do anything special to be able to do pre-registration. You're going to do this in your standard calendaring app. So for us today, that would be doing this in Google Calendar, and in the future this would be doing the same exact feature or function that I'm going to do today, but in the Outlook web calendar. So like we said, it starts with the calendar. So I'm going to go over here and bring up my calendar. Okay, so I'm going to go down to like 6 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to say that I'm doing some sort of training session and I want to pre-register my guest. I can pre-register them. I don't have to do it like today. I could pre-register them for tomorrow at any time. They're only going to show up in the logbook on the day that they're coming in, but pre-registration will add them to the logbook. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a test. So I would do the normal kinds of things that I would do, which, would be I need a conference room to meet in. So I sit there and say, okay, I'm going to take the Charlevoix room tonight, and then I go back over to my guest. The only thing that's different, this is the key point, is when you do your guest, you need to add in this special guest here. So it's called meeting at ProxyClick.com. You must add this in as the first person in the calendar appointment. You must add this person in when you're creating the calendar appointment for the first time. You can't do it after. So if you have a pre-existing meeting, the registration won't work. It's only when you're creating brand new calendar appointments and you put this in up at the top will it go out and pre-register your guest. So basically I have a room and I did the ProxyClick in there for pre-registration. Again, meeting at ProxyClick.com. I've already put that in the global address list, so if you just type in meeting, the rest will come up, so you don't have to remember it, but you do have to put that in there. And now, of course, you got to have some guests. So I'm going to just add some external people that don't work in the organization. And I'm just going to say for them, this is a test. Alright, so that's it. Basic meeting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. tonight. Just did the basic things, reserved a room, invited 2 external people to the meeting that do not work here. Because again, you have to remember it's visitor, so it's got to be somebody visitor management is all about external people. Save this calendar appointment, send it out per normal, nothing different. Okay, now what's going to happen downstairs on the first floor. Bring up my ProxyClick. Okay, so now what you're going to see that's really interesting is something you haven't seen in the previous videos is now you're going to get a status of expected. Because I've done the pre-registration, notice a couple of things. They're pre-registered guests. They're coming in at 6 to 7 p.m. tonight. These are the visitors, and then there's a little notification that an invitation was sent out to this visitor, and I'll show you what that visitation letter looks like that's sent in email. And it says who the host of the meeting is, so this is for Peter Mott. And then notice it creates a group when there's more than 2 people. So it basically says all of these people that are pre-registered and expected tonight are for the test ORR training event. And so they're all grouped together. What's nice about that for large groups is I can filter, and I could just sit there and I could look at just the people that are coming in tonight at 6 o'clock so that I can do what I need to do appropriately. So when these people come in, if they've never been here, what's really cool about this is, you remember when you first come to the company and you've never been here before, I mean, the 3 key things that we need at a bare minimum for you is a first name, a last name, and email address. The other stuff is nice, but it's a bonus, such as the company that you're representing, and we also would like you to give us your cell phone number for emergency preparedness type situations for notification, and we'd like your picture, but we don't mandate those things. So by simply creating the calendar appointment, at some point in time, you're now basically getting 3 of the 5 pieces of information that we want into the registration system. So what does that mean? When the user comes in and they go to register, they're already going to exist. They're going to type in, so when Dawn comes in, she could type in Dawn and it'll show Dawn Mott, or she can type in M-O-U-H-O-T, and as a visitor her name will be in there because she's pre-registered. It's going to expedite the registration process. It's going to expedite the printing of the badge and to get that person checked in. So I'll go over to the pad. I'm going to do a check-in. So I'll look, I'll put in DAW. Dawn comes up immediately. I'm asking for the cell phone number, and I can skip that. And I checked her in. It was like 2 buttons. Just checked her right in, and now she's checked in for the 7 o'clock meeting. And her badge printed out. And that's it. I've got the badge. Another bonus is instead of using the iPad, if you set yourself up at a registration table, with a laptop computer and connect it to ProxyClick as a receptionist, I could sit there and I could just take this particular user and I could say set as checked in, boom, and that person's checked in. And that's just as simple as that if I just want to do quick registration check-ins. I also could have selected, if there were a bunch of them, I could have went click, 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 and then set them all to be registered, as such. So I can do that. I also, if I'm set up properly with the label printer connected to me as a local printer, I can actually check people and print their badges, so I could be able to, click a bunch of them and pre-print the badge, or I could click a bunch of them and check them in and print the badge. So what I'm getting at is that I don't have to use the iPad to do this. I can do it, with a laptop from this screen. Although the iPad by far still is the quickest and fastest way to register people. Just have more iPads and the process will go quicker. So that's the calendar way of doing it. The simplest way to do it is with the calendar registration. Now, one of the other things that's kind of neat, though, is, let me find it. That's not it. Oh, the new visit. If you do a group visit, you can actually create, let's do another one. So let's say I'm doing a different group of people. I can pre-register them here in the website and create a new group. And what's neat here is that, again, you need the basic information, first, last, company, and email. So I can add them in. So I can add them in one at a time, or right here it says import a list of visitors for drag and drop. So if I have an Excel file, let's see if I have the Excel registration file. So what's really nice about this group is the way the import works. All I need to do is grab an Excel file that has at least the first, last, company, and email address information in there. Or really, so I drop this Excel file on here. And it does a cool little mapping for me. So it says the first name is, in my Excel spreadsheet, is first name, and it had these values in it. The last name is the last name, and those were some of the values that were in it. The company, I did not have a company in my file, so I could sit there and say don't import, leave blank. And I did have email, but it was in a different field, so I am collecting the email. So it just does a little matching up. And then I said the first row does contain the headers. And bingo, here I go. And then it actually puts in my people right in there. And then I'm set. So I say set host and date. I've got my people. And so now I just have to sit there and say, okay, this is for today, or it could be a future date, but I'm going to say it's for 7 p.m. tonight till 8 p.m. And they're all here to see me because I'm doing the training. And here we go. And you can see that that automatically got my Peter Jones, Ringo Starr, and Ozzy Osbourne are all in for the training for safety tonight. And so it's just that simple. I can do it from a list. This is really a nice way for the recipient rights training team because they have a system that they use to get people signed up for training, and they can export that data from that system into Excel, and so they can do the pre-registrations by just taking the Excel file and matching it up and sending them out that way. Or the calendar appointment, either way. But this way is really good because I didn't have to type anything. I just used Excel to Excel, dropped it in. And that's it. That's basically everything that you would do on the advanced functions for this application.